It's Rosh Hashanah yet again, another exciting year. Except, wait a minute, we're still at home. I thought we were going to be in person. I was so looking forward to being in person with you in the sanctuary. But alas, the pandemic continues. And we have to have an actual response. We can't just sit here and keep wishing that it weren't so, because that's really not going to make it any better or change the situation. We have to kind of accept this is our reality. And so I'm going to help us this evening with a few stories and maybe some ideas. And maybe at the end, we'll feel a little bit better about where we are and what's going on. So there's a story about a soldier who was coming home from war. And as he came back through a village, he saw that there were all of these bullseyes that were hit in the middle directly. And he sat there and he looked and he couldn't imagine that there was such an amazing marksman who was able to hit each bullseye right at the center. And so he went searching all over the village, looking for the individual who shot so effectively and efficiently and accurately. And he said, I've been a marksman in the Tsar's army, and I have not been able to hit the way you are. How are you able to do this all the time? And the little boy looked at him and he goes, I always fire, and then I have to come afterwards with my paint and make the bullseye right around it. And I share the story because so often we think we have to fire and hit the mark straight on every single time. But the truth is, that's not exactly possible. In fact, that's really hard to be able to do. The shofar. Did you know that if you blow it from this side, it doesn't make any noise? But if you blow it from over here, well, if you're someone who's skilled, it actually does make noise. The question is, what can we learn about our life today from the shofar? And how does that relate to the story about the bullseye and the marksman? Well, let's get into it, shall we? If we look and we think about trying to blow over here, over at the very large end of the shofar, really nothing is going to happen. We're just going to blow and blow and blow. And oi, you know who's going to get tired? We are. I am. You are. The truth is that we're blowing all the time at this end of the shofar because we're all the time spinning our wheels. We're sitting at this point this year focused on all of these things that are going on all around us. We're thinking about, get ready for it, climate change. I don't know if you've paid attention, but there's been these devastating storms that have occurred, and forest fires, and crazy things like the world is changing and warming up, and our oceans are not how they used to be, and the polar ice caps, well, they're just not there. And oh my God, what's going on? And reports have come out from the UN that we need to pay attention to. Other issue that we're experiencing, I don't know if you've heard, but we're in a pandemic. Now, what does that mean for all of us? Well, hopefully, like me, you've been vaccinated and you're trying your best to stay safe. Hopefully, unlike me yet, you didn't catch COVID, but if you did, hopefully you'll get through it more quickly. Whew, lots and lots going on there. And then we've got another crisis. Really? Another one? Yeah. One on loneliness. 1 in 3 Americans over the age of 45 are extremely lonely. Oy, and how does that manifest itself? Well, it's because we're doing all of this social isolation and social distancing. And many of us are so comfortable in our homes. We're so used to live streaming that Netflix. How fun is Netflix? And yet, that doesn't allow us to feel connected. In fact, that leads to us feeling empty and not good. And while we're not feeling empty or good about it, if we're focusing on it, we're just blowing and blowing and blowing over this end of the shofar, we're not making any real progress. We're just focused on all of that. And maybe sometimes we're even fighting it. We don't want to wear masks. We stick our head in the sand. We hope that by watching enough TV, somehow all of this will just go away and it'll be exactly the way it was before the pandemic hit. Well, I hate to break it to you, and I'm sure you've heard it from others. That's not exactly how the world is going to work. I mean, it doesn't quite work that way, that we need to and can just stick our heads in the sand. We actually have to do a really hard thing. We have to accept that this end of the shofar, it's not where you're going to blow into. It's the end where the noise comes out. We can't just keep blowing and focusing on all the negatives either. We're going to have to shift our focus, and we have to accept the reality. Accepting, kind of hard to do, but you can do it. I have faith in you. By accepting the reality, we can really understand and look into the science that teaches that extreme loneliness is the equivalent of smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It's even worse for your health than obesity. It's challenging. We can accept that we actually have to address the things of COVID, not in a political way, as fun as that may be. We actually need to address it in a communal way, in an adult way, in a way that respects one another for being created in the other's image, for being created in God's image. We have to accept our situation. We have to look at the shofar and see it for all of its beauty, all of its marks, and its variety of colors, recognizing that everybody has an opinion about how to get us through it. And maybe if we actually work together, we can hit the other side of this pandemic healthier and stronger. But let me tell you something too. What I've learned by having COVID and by dealing with exhaustion is that I don't have the energy anymore to focus on everything. I can't focus on it all. It's overwhelming. It makes me want to go back to bed. Why? I've learned that instead I have to focus maybe on one or two things, put all my energy in that, and make it a good, exciting thing. Because while, yes, we can focus on all of the hard things in this world, by doing so, we're going to miss the beauty of the shofar. We're going to miss that it curves. We're going to miss that sweet sound. We're going to miss everything. And so if we prioritize our energy into our embouchure, how we move our lips, into the type of sound that we're going to make, into where we're at and what we're doing, amazing things can actually occur. So beyond just accepting where we've been, let's put our attention to where we'd like to go. Lastly, let's have a little bit of affection for our amazing, smiling shofar. It can bring us amazing sounds, but we have to treat it with kindness. We can't just let it out in the elements. We can't just expose it to climate change and loneliness and all sorts of insanity. No, we have to be kind to it. We have to love on it. We have to know that the shofar is going to have those rough, challenging, fatiguing days, that it's going to need a break, just like we're also going to have to accept and treat it with affection when it has amazing days. So how do we do that? Well, let's start off every day by having a little bit of gratitude simply for waking up. Let's choose to put our energy in things that count. Let's use this pandemic to focus on the priorities in life, like our family, our friends, and being kind to ourselves and others. And lastly, let's be open and honest with who we are so that we can create that exciting new place that we want to go to, that exciting community where, the pandemic was a part of our past and we've learned many things from it, but we're not going to let it dictate our future solely. We're going to learn from it to be our highest and best selves. May this new year, 5782, bring us tremendous joy, bring us tremendous happiness, and help us do the 3 A's. Accept our situation, pay attention to the things that are most important, and treat ourselves with a lot of affection.